Hello, everybody, and welcome to the premiere episode of RollPlay Far Verona. I'm Adam Coble. I'm going to be your Space Master. Look, it's my cast, and I haven't seen this overlay before. It's lovely. Look at all these lovely people in this beautiful overlay we have.
Yeah,
I'm not wearing a gold triangle for a hat in this one. I feel like my head is uncovered. It feels weird.
You need like
welcome, everybody. This is episode number 1. Normally we would take like some time at the beginning and be like, yo, how you doing? What's up? What you been up to? But I want to get to the game as soon as we can. But I do want to give everybody an opportunity to get to know a little bit about the cast, because some of you are brand new to roleplay. So let's do that. Let's start with the new folks. Let's start up here in the corner with my man Mark. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What are you doing here? What's your deal?
Hello. I'm the token British guy now. My name's Mark. I GM a show called High Rollers. I have a YouTube channel called Tabletop Weekly, and I love RPGs. And my favorite month is April. I don't know what else to say. So.
Do you like long walks on the beach?
Yeah, I love long walks on the beach and reading fancy fiction at candlelight. So, yeah.
Beautiful. That's very good. What is your favorite sci-fi thing ever? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, that's really hard. Can I pick 2 or just 1?
Maybe if they're different formats, I guess you could pick 2. They can't both be movies, though. Oh, no, you can't even do that. I'm excited. That's good.
Macross and Mass Effect.
Excellent. Good. Okay, cool. Why? Why do you like Macross and Mass Effect?
Macross has giant robots in it, and I like the idea that it's not always solved by violence. And then Mass Effect is just really cool.
I think giant robots is totally enough. Like, I think that's a legitimate, like, I don't know, giant robots? Shut up, Adam. You don't that.
Get out of here. Yeah. But yeah, those 2 are probably my 2 favorites.
Well, that's good. I'm just going to get this joke out of the way now and then never make it again. Thanks, Sam. All right. So moving on. Our other new face, and I gotta say, so Bronze Girl, I'm really excited to have you on the show. I have always been excited since we decided that you would be a part of this thing, but you blew my mind when we were doing the character creation, because like often I will keep my like literary references on the DL, and I'm like, okay, what's like a video game or a movie that I could refer to here? And you were just like, yo, you read The Foundation? Because I read that shit, and just like brought it. And, like, I was very impressed. I was like, yes, someone that reads books. I'm hyped.
I love books.
Welcome to the show. Tell us about yourself, besides the fact that you read books.
Yeah, hi, hello. I'm that Bronze Girl. Super excited to be here in such wonderful company. I've never role played with any of you before, but I know of you and I've seen your work. And if I'm shy, it's because this is exciting for me. This is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm that Bronze Girl, and I guess Adam already said I love books and I love video games and comic books.
I saw you launching some hot takes vis-a-vis the Avengers on Twitter some days ago. I love it. You're like, I was like, a lot of people were kind of just like, I have some thoughts about this new Avengers film, and you're just like, yo, here it is. I'm just 26 tweets about why y'all are stupid and don't understand this movie.
That's me though. I am somebody that's very opinionated, and sometimes that gets me into trouble. But I'm one of those people that's like, listen here, if you don't like Infinity War, it's because you don't understand the 10 film buildup that has led us to here. Thanos is dad, okay? He's the father of the universe, and he did nothing wrong.
I'm really into it. I like it. You are to comic books what I am to like J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm like, yo, do you want me to ruin this movie we're trying to watch together? Hi, let me Silmarillion you for a minute. I can't help it. So I feel you. I have a kinship with that idea. Cool. Well, that's good. I'm glad to have you here, and your character's going to be great. We've been Twitter DMing about secret backstory stuff. So I'm very excited. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Familiar face over here. It's Amish Matt or Max or Mike.
You can't call me that anymore.
GassyMexican.
You can't call me that anymore. We're full, like 1 coming into a 2 beard hair growth.
You don't lose nicknames. You just accumulate more. They pile up. So how's the hurdy-gurdy going? Amish Mike, you've been playing that?
On the floor, looking pitiful still. I'm not going to play it.
There's no hurdy-gurdy allowed on this show.
No one wants to hear that. It's like a banshee screech. No one wants to hear it.
Yeah. So on the rare, rare chance that someone does not know who this handsome fellow is.
Oh, I'm
Would
sure
you
there's
like
people there that
to tell us.
have never seen. I'm GassyMexican. I've been doing role play stuff for a little bit with these people. I'm interested to see how Adam operates in this sort of world. It's one of the reasons too where I was excited and accepted to be a cast member on the show. One, I am if you do know me at all, you know I'm a massive sci-fi geek. I love Mass Effect. I love Star Trek Next Generation is my absolute shit. Blade Runner, all genres. There's some that I haven't seen that's probably your favorite, but in general, I like sci-fi and I'm super stoked to be on the show. Yeah, but I do my own Twitch and YouTube stuff. If you guys want to check it out, awesome. But if not, and you're just here for the show, that works too.
Did you get around to playing some of that Fortnite Thanos jam?
I did.
I hear they nerfed Thanos. Did you play pre or post nerf?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't know when they nerfed him, but yeah, he doesn't feel like he should be as weak as he is. He's very easy to kill in terms of if somebody has the Scar, like the best rifle in it. I actually don't even know what they call it. Do they call it the Scar? It doesn't matter. The gold weapon. It just does a lot of damage and it's super accurate. And Thanos' shield and armor. He has 200 shield and 800 base health, but that can get melted away real quick. So he doesn't have a base regular jump too. Your only jump is it's like 1,000% or nothing. There's no jump. So you always have to charge jump. So you're stuck as you try to do the charge thing. I don't know. It's pretty fun. I got like 15 kills in one of the game as him. So that was really cool. Almost won. And then I got it stolen away from me.
That sounds like a good number for like a Max or an Adam, but I feel like 15 kills is insufficient for an AnneMunition. And is by far the most like pro murder. I've been watching you stream a lot lately, and you're dangerous, AnneMunition. I'm glad you only have one hit point and you're not playing anyone with a big gun, because I would be afraid for the lives of my NPCs. So when you're not out there getting headshots, I saw you explain this Michelle Obama thing to me, because your Twitter was just like, here's Anne and a bunch of really famous people. Are you just like friends with famous people now, or what's your deal?
Yeah, we're just best friends. It's no big deal.
Okay. Cool.
No, it was an event that Michelle Obama started when she was the first lady, and it's called College Signing Day. And it's like this thing promoting high school students signing to like go to college. So it's like encouraging further education, that kind of thing. So it was like also kind of a charity event with Tiltify. So there were a couple other, it was just Ninja and me, and Ninja's wife, Jay Ghosty, was there. And then Erin, aka Aurelian, from Twitch. So she was like interviewing people, and it was really, really cool. It was I got to meet Michelle Obama. I mean, I met like a lot of people, but I like almost cried. And she hugged me, and it was the best moment of my life. So
I'm looking at these people you met. What the hell?
Right. So like we're all out here talking about like, Avengers was cool, and then Anna's like, yo, here's some pictures of me with everyone from the movie Avengers.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah,
so what do you do when you're not hobnobbing with people more famous than us?
I just play video games. Like you said, I play a lot of first person shooters. So if that's your guys' thing, I'm not very good at Fortnite though. So if you like PUBG, I'm more that kind of gamer. But I also started playing Conan Exiles yesterday for the first time, and that game is awesome. So
it's out of early access now, right? Like that's why, like, because I noticed a lot of people are playing it again. Came out of
came out of like early access. Yeah,
that's cool.
It's really awesome. I like building things, so I was like building this giant structure while all my like teammates were out killing things, and I was just like, I'm building a cool house.
What's the name of the actor? See if you can help me remember this without having to go to Google. What's the name of the actor that was in The King and I? The big bald dude. What's that guy's name?
The King and I?
Yeah, you remember that The King and I? What was the name of the actor? Scott's just driving me crazy. Anyway, when I played it, Yul Brynner. Thank you, chat. So, man, gotta love that low latency mode. So my character, when I played that, was just like a naked, glistening Yul Brynner, and I just never put a helmet on for a while. And that's all I remember about the game, is just being like a huge naked dude. And then also, I guess, like mining things with my fists.
Yeah, I was like a barbarian Yennefer, and just making the house look real sweet. So
nice.
I've heard good things about that game. I'm excited to get into it. It looks really good too on top of it. I dig the style and everything, all the huge like statues and stuff you'll see in the world of Conan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
super
I'm a Conan fan from way back, so that stuff is cool to me. To be like, I know who these people are and what this is. I know where I'm supposed to be. Neat, Stygia. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool that it's improving. Well, I'll have to check that out. So I know we all did our homework and got our characters ready and stuff. Right, Max?
So what? I didn't
Oh, I
buy
got you
equipment.
a mouthful too. Boom.
Yeah.
You're like a waiter or waitress coming through. Like, how's the food? Is it good?
You're like,
Yeah.
Buddy.
Listen, I work on a ship. All right, they got stuff for me. I've been told.
It's fine. It's totally fine. It's fine.
you
Everybody
just like
else did their
stumbled on the
homework
ship
and-
drunk, and you're just like, "Is there any equipment around here?"
You guys got
Where's
any
my gun?
We
I
take
got
off.
a
Yet?
robot. I got to murder. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, let's get into it. Let's do the thing. So to kind of set the scene, I'll walk you through a little bit of intro stuff, and then as we do this, we'll get to know the characters a little bit, and then I'll show you where you're at, and kind of what's going on. So, if you will, imagine we come in from the opening sequence, and the beginning scene is just a scene of darkness, just a black screen. And underneath the soundtrack, we can hear kind of just low ambient tones, kind of reminiscent of music, but not actually music. And onto this black background fades in a tall, narrow sans serif font in a bold white. We see RollPlay presents, fade in. And then as it fades out, we crossfade to the surface of a planet. It's still like the curved edge of the planet, so we're quite far away, and the camera is moving slowly towards it. And as we get closer, it reveals the surface of the planet is a series of massive, miles across, gray, interlocking hexagons. And at the intersections of some of these hexagons, we can see little towns or factories, clusters of black synthetic like concrete buildings sort of crouch there between the hexes. And as we pan slowly across the scene, one letter at a time in that same tall font, the words Far Verona appear on the screen. As they fade, we pan across a foggy and turbulent sky, the color of steel. And just barely through the fog, we can see that above this planet is another larger planetary body. So we're probably looking at a moon. The planet above through the fog is a huge and glittering planet shining with light. And as we pan over to that, we see at the bottom titles appear that say Mumeri, Harvest Moon of Echo. And then there's a loud sound that breaks through the soundtrack. It's like a single peal of thunder, and the camera tracks up more quickly to see a long blue line of light cutting through the pale of the gray sky. And as we pan over, we can see the source. It's a small shuttle that's broken the atmosphere, coming down from orbit, and it's leaving these long blue trails as the engines navigate it down towards one of these settlements on the surface. So we cut scene to the interior, and we can see that there is a bench, and the camera style has changed. So in the previous shots, we have all these sort of slow, like glacial movements, but in here it's slightly bouncier, not quite like a steady cam shot, but we have a little bit more like we're in an intimate space. And we can hear the low whine of the engines in the background and see on a bench, there's a group of maybe a half dozen armored troops. Now they have their helmets off. This isn't a stormtrooper kind of escapade. These are passengers essentially on the shuttle. So on the bench, we see a half dozen of these soldiers, and on all of their shoulders, they're all wearing the same uniform. On their shoulders, we see the black and purple cross insignia of House Crux. They're all smiling and talking. Some look a little nervous. The ship jostles slightly as they go. And one of the soldiers seems to be talking. He's talking to whoever, we can't see them, across the shuttle from them. And he's telling a story. He's saying, so as we cut into this, he says, so there's this Lyran girl, right? And she's at her father's funeral. It's a big fancy affair, lots of sad nobles. And she meets this guy. He's real cute and rich and obviously really well bred, and they really hit it off, right? Only she gets called away to do some kind of, I don't know, funeral thing, and this guy disappears. And she didn't get his comm ID or even the guy's name, this guy that she's suddenly in love with, and now she knows if she doesn't do something, she's gonna lose this guy forever. So what she does next is the next day she kills her mom. And there's a pause, and a couple of the other soldiers like look at this guy. Someone chuckles, and we pan the shot across to Nomi. And Nomi, you were sitting across the bench. You were the recipient of this guy's joke. And just can you describe your character and maybe more importantly your reaction to it?
Okay. Yeah, my character is wearing a lot of maybe like black and gold trimmed, very straight laced, like kind of polished looking, professional. She has blonde hair that is pulled back, and maybe like early 30s ish. So see, they like telling this joke to me, and that's I just hear that like end of this, she kills her mom.
Yeah. So he says, he's like, yeah. So what she does next is the next day she kills her mom. And then he does that thing that people who they like tell a joke, they expect you to laugh, where he kind of goes with his hands, like, huh? Right? It's funny, like, because the funeral. So are you just like
just an awkward stare? Like I just don't react to it.
And he shakes his head and he's like, sermons don't have any sense of humor. And he looks over, and sitting next to you is your character, Bronze Girl. So what does your character look like? What does Riley look like?
Riley's got a short crop of really dark red hair, and she's kind of somebody that looks perpetually a little bit banged up and dirty, and she's always got a little bit of a stump of a cigar or something or the other hanging out of the side of her mouth. It's never lit. It's just an oral fixation she has. She's the type of gal that you'd like to maybe take out for a beer and hang out with. I mean, you'd probably never hook up with her because you're really good friends and things would get awkward if you did. But man, she's always there through all your breakups, and she's great for a game of darts.
I feel like this is like a very specific relationship you have with like this soldier particularly. Like he's like, so yeah, we see you through him, and he looks at you like, come on, that's funny. Like at least give me a pity laugh. What do you do? Do you respond at all?
I kind of like nod my head a little bit, look up at him, and I'm like, ugh. Some people are born with looks, some people are born with tact, some people are born with wits, but you, my friend, were born with none of these.
And the woman sitting next to him, the soldier, punches him in the arm, and she's like, she's got you there. And he's just like grumbling, like, God, that woman was great. That killed. And before he gets, he starts, you can see him take the breath to be like, all right, I got another one. The shuttle jostles suddenly. Most of the folks are professionals. They don't respond. But this guy, more out of like, hey, my joke was interrupted, he shouts up towards the cockpit. He's like, hey, keep it on the road. We cut to the cockpit. And we see Jason Argus at the controls. Do you want to describe your character for us, Mark?
Yeah, so he has short, kind of cropped hair with a little bit longer on top, kind of pushed to the one side. You can see he wears an armored vac suit, so kind of like a pilot suit encased, but you can see it's kind of got like plates of armor, especially around like his spine and his lower legs. It looks almost like there might be some kind of support structures or something there. And he has his sleeves kind of rolled up, scars kind of crossing over his hands mainly as well. But he's, and he's just kind of like jostling there, and he's blue eyes, and you can see that there is a small symbol of probably House Fornax, I guess, on the vac suit as well. And he's going to call back. He'll be like, yeah, all right, calm down. Just because your joke didn't fucking don't take it out on me.
So the atmosphere of the planet is maybe like rougher than you had originally expected.
Okay.
It's you're going through some turbulence. You don't have to like worry about crashing or anything, but you were definitely told that this was not going to be this bad. But you're under orders to transport everybody down to the planet. Are you like cool as a cucumber, or is this like teeth gritted, like narrow focus?
He'd be kind of like pretty cool and calm, but he'd probably call back and just say like, look, things are getting a bit choppy. Didn't quite anticipate this. Just hold on. Make sure you're strapped in. Just call back to everyone else. Make sure they're okay.
Okay, yeah. So the little red light turns on in the passenger compartment, and people start strapping in just in case. Sitting next to you, I think probably focused on something outside of all of this. We see Officer Greaves. You have in your hand, I think, the projector that's showing the hologram. It's a repeated loop of footage. We see this kind of grayish hologram taken by a security drone, and we just see a person. We see a man with a shaved head that's kind of grown out a little bit. He's wearing a shoulder bag and just a laborer's outfit, and we see him buying something from a market stall, and that loop just keeps going. And face illuminated by the hologram, we see Officer Booker Greaves. So Max, you want to describe your character for me?
Sure. Booker's mid late 40s, about 5'11", somewhat muscular build, green eyes, and he's got kind of like a dirty blonde, like faded military hair, hairstyle with like 3 slits on his side right here as the fade goes down. Slightly wrinkled, a little bit of a grisly look about him, but fairly well kept, and some little minor patch jobs here and there to patch up what's been broken up through like just service.
Okay. And are you wearing the sigil of House Crux anywhere, or do you have your authority badge like tucked away?
I think authority badge tucked away. If you look like on his uniform, it's pretty old and tattered, and it has like a really bad. You'd have to look kind of hard to see that it's the House Crux sigil, but it's there. Which is really, really like, kind of gunk and stuff ingrained on it through years of service.
So all of you you're on this shuttle, you and the half dozen House Crux troops and this shuttle. You're all on a mission. You've left your ship, you've descended down onto this Harvest Moon, but you're following orders. There's a long chain of orders above you that lead to Officer Greaves. Have you told them or any of them what you're up to, or is it just like get on the shuttle? We got to go down to this moon.
You asking me if I've shared it with them?
Yeah. How much information do they know?
I'd say they know we're here to track someone down. And I think Booker told them, well, I'll give you more info as we're going down or on the surface, just so as to not, keep people focused on, some people might get distracted.
Okay. Mission. Yeah. All right. So to that extent, then, Jason, Nomi, and Riley, you all have an idea generally of kind of what you're here for, and your own jobs. You all have things that you do and have done for House Crux multiple times before, but for this particular thing, Booker hasn't told you kind of who you're after or what the deal is. But your job is to punish people who break the law, and that can take many forms. And today, it's brought you to Mumeri, which is what's called a harvest moon. It's probably an old asteroid that was pulled into the gravitational pull of a planet called Echo. It's the homeworld of the Prism network. And basically, it's just covered in like farms and processing facilities to feed the people that live on that planet, because the planet itself has no arable farmland anymore, or very little. So you're on this harvest moon. It's basically a backwater like farming town. And somebody here is on the bad end of the law. So you're coming into the atmosphere, and I think that Jason, you see on your console the heads-up display changes color slightly as the planetary navigation systems basically try to make contact with your ship and help guide you in to landing.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you want to start the landing procedures?
Yeah, just take it standard, fly by numbers kind of thing, like let the system take over. Probably keep an eye on it, make sure that it's not trying to do anything wacky. These backwater planets can sometimes be a bit shifty, but sure, I'll just kind of let it guide us in.
Yeah, so you're keeping track of it, and so we see the kind of red. There's a red heads-up display that lines up and then turns green, and the ship jolts a little as the much less graceful autopilot takes over to guide you in. And we cut to an external shot of a settlement, a bunch of these kind of spires of exhaust from some of these big black factories, and then holograms everywhere, like holograms of ads. We see glowing faces. We can see products. There's one of like a dancing corn cob, and it's like just clutter around you. Your nav system fades all that out, but when we get the shot from the outside, we can see that there's a cluster of these sort of holographic ads that you're passing through, heading down to docking yard 6, which we see in the distance as the ship kind of like comes in to land. And so the exchange is made. We see the shuttle land. Clamps come up out of the floor of the docking yard and click into the shuttle. And then you've landed. The flight is done. And I think this is the part where the soldiers all kind of like look around like, all right, are we going? What's happening? Are we going out hot? What are we doing? And unless someone steps up, Booker, this is your moment.
Yeah. Booker kind of gets up, puts the pad down, and is like, well, I guess you're all wondering why we're here. That about right?
None of the soldiers say anything, but
good, focused. I like it. Basically, we're here to take down a synth that's supposed to be here. We don't know exactly where. We've seen reports, and as you can see, have they seen the footage yet before? They've probably seen me looking at it, right?
I mean, that's up to you. You have like a personnel file. You have the original registry file that you can show.
Yeah. I kind of like, yeah, I'll like, if it's possible, you tell me if it's possible, but like in the shuttle, if I can like fling it to something else, like a display screen.
Yeah, there's an overhead projector. So in the middle of the room, in the empty space, suddenly there's a flickering, and that same kind of semi-transparent soft light like hologram appears. But this person is not wearing the. You've all seen images like this. They've been plastered all over the Empire for decades already. It's a synth that was like produced and scanned before it was released into the world. So you see a man who is designed to look like he's in his mid-20s. He's bald because all synths are when they're created. He has a kind of a nondescript ethnic appearance. He was designed to blend in. And the information that floats in front of him, he's standing wearing just like white kind of paper robes. The information in front of him displays his serial number, right? He's 665A-22X, and a bunch of other information. But at a glance, you can tell that this synth was designed for like farm work, for labor. It's a labor synth. So, you know, you're not hunting like a kick murder squad or anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, an illegal synthetics. So.
Right. I guess that's where he takes it from. Then he's just like, shouldn't be too hard of a job. It's a synth made for labor, so we're not running into any heavy force, or that we know of anyways. Last time we saw him was at a market in Cornucopia within about a week or so. You can see him now. Burn that image into your head.
Yeah, and the soldiers are looking at each other like, there's 6 of us. It's just one errant robot. We can deal with this. Nomi and Riley, I assume, Jason, you're like taking your seatbelt off and like finishing the procedures, but Nomi and Riley, what is your response to this briefing? Do you say anything?
I have a question for Booker, I guess. Do I call you like Captain Greaves? Like, do you have a title or something? Like Mr. Greaves doesn't sound right.
Yeah, so I mean it's up to you, Max. Like you probably have a rank, but
yeah,
like Officer Greaves is always fine.
Okay.
But
I think people that are, you know, maybe not so familiar with him, or a little, you know, intimidated, whatever, you know what I mean, like that don't know him too well, we'll call him Officer Greaves. Okay. But people that are closer to him call him Book. So
okay. Cool. So are we still in the shuttle? Did we go out of the shuttle?
Yeah, you're still in the shuttle. Jason is running it through its like shutdown procedures.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like playing a guitar. Okay, so neither of you don't have any questions. You don't have any question for him. You just get this image of this kind of generic looking person robot.
I think Booker's kind of like looking around, seeing if anybody, you know, has questions or whatever.
Do you think this would be an appropriate time for me to maybe test out one of my experimental prototype drones?
Easy. We don't need to go overkill on this. If it becomes necessary, then yes. But listen, you got your fancy mods and things there. We all know about them, okay? Doesn't mean we need to burn every village we come across or outpost or whatever.
So do you have like a special? Sorry, go ahead. I said, do you have like a case that you brought with you?
Oh, me?
Yeah. Do you have like a bunch of? Okay, so like there's another seat.
Finest.
Yeah, so there's Nomi, and then there's Riley, and then seat belted to the bench, there's like a coffin size like plastic and metal like box. Yeah, full of all your toys.
With all due respect, sir, AcreCore's Peeping Tom, or as I like to call it, Tom for short, is an observational drone. There will be no burning of villages. This
She's
is,
just like
I
looking
can
at
assure
you like this, doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
How far out are we looking at, Greaves? Where was this thing last seen, you said?
How far out? Yeah, from like our exact location where we landed.
So you're technically in. So there are these enormous hexagonal like fields basically, and then each one has its own like processing facility, and some of those facilities are shared between multiple hexes. And Cornucopia is one of the larger clusters, where it's basically like a big city for this place. And you've landed there. You're in Cornucopia now. So the market, you could get there in a couple of hours and go and explore there if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. So then I let him know that. Well, we're here in Cornucopia. As you heard before, he was seen in a market near here, so he can't be that far.
Officer Greaves,
Yeah.
are we sure that there is only one synth? Or is it possible that they are working with others?
It's always possible. Anything's possible. I appreciate the question. Hopefully you guys are keeping that in your head. Something sounds real simple, it oftentimes isn't. So get ready for anything, and maybe we will use your drones. And looks at I gotta learn everybody's name by heart. Limar?
Just call me Riley. Just call me
Riley?
Riley.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's what he says.
Okay, so Jason, you've finished the docking procedures. Everything's done, and the shuttle is in the hands of the local like deck crew now, so they're going to be refilling it. Yeah, you have the green light. You can shut it all down.
Okay. Yeah. Will it take long to get like everything refurbed, like or refueled and stuff like that? Like we don't have like a time.
No.
It's not going to take like hours or anything like that.
I mean, a trip down from Atmo and back like uses like probably most of the fuel supply, but you've only come down, so like you could, if you needed to get back to it, you could get back to the ship without them having to refill it. But they're gonna get to it. There's a crew here. Doesn't need to them.
All right. Well, I'll kind of switch all the systems, safe, turn the red light off, and be like, right, that's it. Everything's loaded up. We're ready to move when you are.
All right, then. Supposed to meet with Viscount Iridanis Theodoro Douglas. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Who's is around, and he owns the farming complex closest to where this synth was last seen. We're gonna go start there and see what shakes out.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So the side door, I guess it's a landing craft. It's a shuttle, so it probably opens out the back. So there's because you could fit a vehicle in here. So the back door slides open, and immediately the combinatory smell of the kind of ionized atmosphere of this moon and the fact that it's predominantly used to farm mycoprotein like wafts in. And you live on a ship most of the time, the group of you, and so your air is heavily processed, usually smells like air scrubbers, slightly chemical, but there's this deep like organic kind of slightly sweet smell that wafts in. The soldiers are all kind of too professional to say anything about it, but you definitely catch some looks like, ugh, home, like land, gross. All right, so everybody starts to head out, and when you leave the shuttle, there's actually a group of people waiting there for you. You see that there's a group of, I think there's probably like 6 of them. There's a man his only job appears to be that he's holding a flag. There's just a guy in like a very formal attire holding a long metal pole with the House Crux flag on the end of it. So just holding it. And then there is a couple of other people, one of which has a camera drone flying near her shoulder. There are a couple of others who are holding like audio equipment. They look like a camera crew. And then there is a fairly important looking, or at least richly attired man wearing the black and purple of House Crux. And as the door opens, you can see he's already like walking towards you. He is probably your age, Booker, maybe a little older. He's like fairly worn, kind of wrinkled around the eyes, light brown skin, balding. He's got a bit of a widow's peak, and he's walking towards you. And as he does, he's handing a pad, like a tablet, to his assistant.
Gotcha. Yeah. How far away is he? Like right up to me, or is it?
You have a minute. Like if you want to talk, you have like a couple of seconds as he strides towards you to like say something to your crew, or to like go forward and meet him, or send somebody else to go talk to him.
And through context clues, this looks like the Viscount.
The Viscount is Viscount Eridanus. This guy is making it real clear he's a member of House Crux.
Okay. All right. So as he's coming up, he just kind of mutters under his breath to the others, like, "Oh, great, probably another pompous asshole."
So, Nomi, are you gonna spare Booker having to have a conversation with this guy, or do you want to just let him flounder? Because the guy's heading up to you, and Booker will have to take it if you don't.
Yeah, I can talk to him. I just wasn't sure, like, if I'm assuming that the leader of the party would be the person who would I guess in a military setting, I wouldn't want to just push past him.
So, I mean, Booker is there's a lot of complex layering of like nobility and who's better than whom. Technically, you're all kind of equally ranked. Booker's responsible for getting the job done because he's the space cop, but you all have your own jobs to do. So talking to people is your specialty.
Okay.
I think actually Booker shoots you a look like, take it, go ahead, like,
okay,
talk to this guy.
Cool. So I kind of give Booker a slight nod, and I walk forward, and I assume that like most of the other people, since they're soldiers, are like armed and like holding weapons and stuff. I'm not actually holding anything. I just have my hands like folded in front of me as I walk forward. And when I get like within earshot of him or kind of close to him, I kind of also like bow a little bit, and I say, "Hello, I am Cirrus Serpens Nomi Ka. How may I help you?"
And he looks up at you and he quirks an eyebrow and he says, "Cirrus, I wasn't expecting a serpents. I was told that this was a Crux delegation."
It is, but we represent many worlds.
And he smiles, and you can see him backpedaling. He's like, of course. Yes, your entire crew, welcome to Cornucopia. I am Baron Song. And he gestures around. This is my city.
Do I know who he is? Like,
I think you could make a roll. I think you could make a roll to see if you recognize, Baron Song or anything about him.
Okay.
I think. Let me take a look at the skill list. I think the roll here would probably be. I think it's just no. Yeah, academic fields. Yeah, I think you roll no.
All right. No. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, great. Did that work? Oh, attribute?
You can roll it either with wisdom or charisma.
I think my charisma is my best stat,
It's
right?
like a social knowledge roll, so you could roll with your charisma.
Cool. Well.
Oh yeah, you know this guy.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's like only one less than the best you could possibly do. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, his full title is Freiherr Crux Song Marcus. He is you would consider him to be a sort of lesser baron, but he's probably a big deal in a small planet. And yeah, he owns most of what's around here. Maybe you saw his personnel file or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, he's kind of a big deal, but maybe in a small place.
Okay. Big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
Okay, so when he says like this is my city,
welcome to Cornucopia. This is my city.
I give him kind of like a slight smile and I say, "Baron Song, I've heard so much about you. It's a wonder to meet your acquaintance."
I have to say I'm a bit disarmed. I don't think I know anything about you. And you realize, or he realizes, you're talking at the length of this like gangplank, so you're 2.5 meters apart. And he says, but of course we can make up for that. Why don't you come with me? I have a car waiting. We can go to my estate. You must be tired and hungry. Long trip down from orbit.
We are humbled by your generous request. However, we have a mission to accomplish on your wonderful planet, and I kind of like point at everything. And I said, like, unfortunately, we will not be able to take advantage of your generous offer. We must go.
Come now. We got all these soldiers. I'm sure he'd love to have shack up with.
So you step out, and you see Nomi, you see on his face his effect changes, where suddenly now he's like, oh, hey, here we go. Here's somebody I could talk to. And he says, Officer Greaves, I presume.
Yes.
He nods. Says, welcome to Cornucopia, cousin. Now I couldn't possibly turn away you and your friends. Please, I must insist you come with me.
That was a joke. We won't be staying with you.
He scowls.
We lied.
It's
just a prank.
Yeah, and you can see you're offending him.
But I've offended you. Deal with it.
And he scowls a little bit, and yeah, you're like this whole interaction is being observed by the camera drone, and so he kind of he swallows, and you can see him take a breath, and he says, of course, I'm sure that you have important business here, and you've prearranged your own. And he kind of gestures like
that would be logical, wouldn't it?
And he says, well, I hope that whatever business you have here is concluded quickly to your satisfaction. Good day, cousin.
You and me both.
He turns to you, Nomi. He nods curtly and says, Cirrus. And he turns around and walks away. And you get a look from one of his assistant, maybe, that is somewhere between impressed, oh damn, nobody talks to Baron Song like that, but then also oh, you just stepped in it, oh dear. And you get this look of sympathy and pity, but also well, what's going to happen next? And then the assistant turns around and walks off. So Jason and Riley, you witnessed from the inside of the ship. You heard all this and witnessed this. Your friends have just annoyed someone who seems like they're an important noble.
It wasn't me. Okay.
Fair.
Nomi did fine.
Nomi
I was mildly rude to him.
Mildly.
Yeah, I think Jason's just smirking away, when the whole interaction with Greaves, he's just kind of yeah, okay, that was pretty funny, and he quite likes that. But he kind of just straps on his belt, makes sure he's got all of his gear, and then just kind of heads down the ramp, but is probably kind of really sickened by the air, just smells like dirt, and it's really struggling with it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the soldiers kind of nudges past you, and he looks at you, and he's like, "What's your title?"
Princeps.
Okay.
Princeps Fornax. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this guy, I gotta come up with a name for this guy because this is the guy that made the joke and who has a history with Riley. This guy kind of nudges past you, and yeah, and so he says to you, he's like, "What's wrong, princess? You don't like the atmosphere?"
Let's just say I'm more used to Foundry. God, what is that? Oh, and he's just looking around
He says, better get used to it. Mycoprotein, mushrooms. You know what they grow mushrooms in, don't you? And one of the other soldiers laughs. It's
can I turn around before while he says leave him alone? Can I look at this guy pretty straight and just be like, it's not in your skull, is it? Because that seems a pretty empty place to grow something like that.
Yeah. You want to try to put this guy in his place?
Well, it's just I kind of shoot him it's kind of with a grin, he's gonna make fun of me, oh, Bants, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, what you're trying to
I'm not gonna stand down.
Yeah, what it sounds like you're trying to do is just not let him push you around.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Make a talk roll with charisma.
Good. Oh, good. Right. So it's been a while since I've used Roll20 for this.
And so you want to have a goof with the lads, but because if you fail this roll, they'll all just be yeah,
okay.
look at you.
So I got an 8.
Okay. Yeah. So I think he gives you a look like, all right, I'll let it go, but like, he's still gonna tease you, but you get out of it with your face intact. And so the soldiers they all come out onto the deck, and they come past you, Riley, are you the last out of the ship because you got to lug your crate with you, or?
Yeah, I'm carrying my crate behind me. Like, I'm dragging it behind me with my nice big metal arms, just, pretty enthusiastically.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that technically, even though that they're soldiers, they're all like low level nobility. These are like the children of dukes and what have you. You are the only person in this crew who is not. You have no noble holdings. So yeah, no one offers to help you. They're just like, cool, have fun.
I don't need the help. I'm used to working for a living, unlike these nobles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So you get outside, and the ship automatically closes the gangplank and locks, and now you're outside. And out here, all you can really see in terms of ships are these massive acre. They're marked with the trapezoid, the acre trapezoid. These massive acre cargo ships. At first, maybe flying in, you thought that they were warehouses, but now down here, you can see that they have on them like engines to get them off world. And they are basically just being loaded up by harvest vehicles that are bringing in the mycoprotein in massive vats. And so there are these big rubber tubes that are basically sluicing protein into these enormous vat ships. Around you, there are dock workers, people wearing the beige and gray of acre like ground crew. Occasionally, you'll see like farmer liaisons and stuff who are like making deals with the acre folks. But you were suddenly surrounded by more people than you've been around in quite some time. Certainly more than that are on the ship. So Booker, where are you going?
Yeah. Booker takes a look around. Is there any like, does he have already the information to where the viscount is? Like, just moving on into the city, or is it something that he's gonna have to seek out?
So the viscount owns a handful of farms, and owns the ones nearest the market. He'd be the person. And he probably lives at an Eridanis estate with some other nobles. So you would know to go there.
All right, then that's where we're gonna head off, and he just kind of looks around at everybody, shoots a look at Riley, seeing she's grabbing her gear, just like, shall we then? And just starts moving, signals for everybody to like move out.
Okay. All right. So you're just gonna walk there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Unless it's like stupid far, in which case then
no, I don't think it really matters, right? Like it's we just do a scene change, but in the interim, in between, the group of you pass through this like fairly kind of rough and tumble like farming town. There are a bunch of very old farming robots that are moving cargo. We pass through several markets, a bunch of like genetically modified pack animals, bringing in farming materials, and just the crush of humanity everywhere around you. The place is, now that you're down here, your eyes ache from all of the neon ads. You have to walk through them in places, and the further away from the port you get, the more they kind of bleed out. But initially, they're all very aggressive ads for like stimulants, so you can like work longer, for ways to spend your acre corporate scrip in town, many of which would be fairly illicit in the core worlds. But all of these things kind of like bombard you, and as you move away from the dock, the further you get, the more you kind of free up space for that and get out into like the residential area. So these residential blocks, big brutalist concrete buildings where people and their families are just like crammed in to live. And on the other side of all this is the estate of House Eridanis, which we see you arriving at. So Eridanis, their stuff on this planet is fairly small scale. They have a manor, and there's a bunch of buildings, but you approach the outside wall. It's a concrete wall, maybe like 10 feet high, with probably some kind of automated defense barrier around it, and then a front gate. And on the front gate, in red spray paint, you see the words "The Vagrant Lives," and there is currently a robot, sort of pseudo human shaped armature, scrubbing it with an enormous brush when you walk up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Booker kind of surveys the area, looks around, checks out where the obvious entrance would be. You know, where if he's got to like be calmed in or something like that.
Yeah, there's a panel. I mean, were you expecting someone to like meet you? Like it seems like you had to walk here. No one came to pick you up.
Yeah.
And now like there's no you just walk up to the front door.
Yeah, he just walks up. He just kind of, does a little, once you get to any sort of destination, you kind of just do a little once over, look around, see, probably scoping, like, just in case things go south for whatever reason. It's kind of just his normal go-to, even if it's supposed to be a place that's safe,
Okay.
And then, he walks up to the comm panel.
Okay. Let's have you make a roll to see kind of what you can pick up. I think this is going to be a notice. Yeah, make a notice roll with your wisdom.
Okay. Notice roll. Where do I do this at? Because I'm going to have to learn this whole...
Oh, it's okay.
Under
Yeah, it's on your
skills.
character sheet, under your skills. And then when you click it, it'll ask you what stat you want to use.
Okay. Why don't I see something? Oh, I got you. Notice you said?
Yeah.
Dope. Wisdom.
Yeah.
It says assisted. Oh, I have to like.
No,
put in the
I don't
stuff.
think. I mean, yeah, unless is somebody else like you all notice Booker doing the like squint, like, is anybody else
checking
on, or are you
stuff
just
out.
like letting him look around on his own?
I probably would help with this.
Yeah. Okay. So you're taking some
Yeah.
observation too. Okay.
I think,
So
yeah.
Nomi, you make your roll first, then Nomi.
Okay.
And you do it with wisdom, and if you get a 7 or better, then that means that Officer Greaves will get a +1.
Hey, 7.
Hey.
Okay, you got it. Okay. All right, Max. So yes, it is assisted.
Okay. So what do I put in? Just put the 7 or whatever? Or what am I doing?
Just put
It's
in a
assisted,
1.
and then it gives me a number value.
Yeah.
Just put a 1.
Just put in a 1. Yep. Nice.
9.
Okay. All right. So you you take a look around. All of the defenses seem automated. It's up to you to decide whether that's a good or a bad thing. But yeah, it's mostly like drone controlled. There might be someone inside who's like watching some screens, but there's a camera over the gate, and there are some obvious seams along the wall where a turret might be able to like pop up. But it doesn't look like it's been used. There's no scorch marks on the ground, no blood stains on the concrete. It's fairly well defended, but yeah, certainly not like top of the line. And yeah, there's no reason to believe that there's anybody here waiting to do you harm.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Then Booker continues, goes up to the panel, and begins communication with.
Yeah.
whoever's
So you
inside.
just hit the button.
Yep.
Yeah. So you press it. There's a series of computerized chimes, then a pause, and the chimes repeat, and pause, and then you hear a click and the sound of static, and then you hear like hello, and you hear a whir as the camera like turns to face you.
Hey there. How's it going?
A long pause. Can we help you with something?
Yeah, I'm here to meet Viscount Eridanus Theodore, the guy. You know who I'm here to meet.
Yes, this is the Viscount's estate. May I ask who's calling?
Booker Greaves.
Just a moment, Mr. Greaves. And there's like a long pause as whoever's on the other side is doing something.
I kind of like step forward next to Greaves and I say, Officer Greaves, are we expected?
Should be, yeah.
They don't seem like they expect us.
Well, that's kind of the way with these folk. Not surprised. Always have to make a big deal to do. What's your credentials? Let me see your ID.
It's
Which
in the
is
middle
all
of
well
the-
and fine, but it's the way you go about it.
Yeah, in the middle of that sentence, you hear like as the thing comes back on, and that same kind of nervous voice says, I'm sorry, Mr. Greaves, I don't have you on the books for today. Would you like to make an appointment with the Viscount?
Officer Crux Greaves Booker.
So again, there's like a pause. Officer, was it? What is
Yes.
this about, officer?
We're here to talk to the Viscount, not you.
Let's have you make a roll to be like, yo, let me in. So why don't you roll talk maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, roll talk, and we'll see how it goes.
Talk. What is that? Wisdom or sorry, charisma? Obviously.
Charisma. Yeah.
Assisted. Does that every time.
I mean, I don't
unless
think
somebody else-
anybody's
no,
helping you
that's
with
fine.
this. Okay. Yeah. So there's a long pause, and then the voice is like, I'm sorry, officer. You're going to have to go through the proper channels. Contact the local constabulary. I'm sorry, sir.
Do I have to be able to see someone to use my telepathic contact?
I believe that you do. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You're you have to be able to like kind of get your serpent vision on him.
I'm gonna look at Greaves and just be, Officer Greaves, do you have like a warrant or something, and like anything to shove in his face? I don't know.
Yeah, Adam. Is
It's
there
long
anything
old
that I have?
whatever.
Is there anything I have to like? I could like connect to this console to be like, this is at least something to like certify, like, hey, we're legit, or whatever. I don't know if that's even something that could be compatible with this panel or whatever.
Yeah, I mean your badge is essentially like it carries your information, but also you can use it to like override low grade security systems, that kind of thing. But you personally don't really know how that works. Somebody in the like the officers like technical training team showed you how to do it like 20 years ago, but you don't know how this shit works. You have it, but like,
all right, I think given that he's not being so receptive to book, he's just gonna he looks at Nomi and just like, give it a try.
Okay.
Like she speaks their language.
So I walk up and I like press the button again.
So they come back like right away with like, I already said you're not getting in. I'm sorry. You're going to just have to go to the proper authorities.
And I say, I am Cirrus Nomi Ka of the noble House Serpens. Perhaps there is a way you could grant us a short meeting with the Viscount. It is very important, I assure you.
All right, make that talk roll.
All right. Ooh,
Oh no!
5.
Oh no!
The fail.
God damn it.
It's because it's on a little machine. All right. If he was face to face,
Right? This were in person.
You
he
You
would
just
have
nailed it.
Much more impressive face to face.
Yeah.
So here's what we see. We cut away from you to the inside of the estate, and we see two men. One is wearing a sort of like a doublet, like a black doublet with like an ascot, his little goatee, and he's looking very nervous. He's like biting his nails and like watching as someone else, another man dressed as a servant, is leaned over with his finger on a button of a comm panel, and the older man, the noble, is like, just make them go away. And the servant looks at him like, I can't. What do I do? And he's just like, I don't, and he like waves at him like, I don't know, deal with it, and he walks off.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
My foci is diplomat, which means at level 1, I get to reroll 1s on any skill check dice related to negotiation or diplomacy.
Nice. Let's have you reroll. Roll it. Just roll a d6.
All right.
Get that.
And then you'll add it to the other.
I was
'cause you have a
pretty
two-
sure.
you have
I
a-
was like, I remember
You have
taking
a
have a
1 and a
thing.
2.
that.
Yeah, you have a 1 and a 2. So
Okay.
you
Stuff about our
if you
character and
roll
used it
well,
properly.
d6.
Just 1d6, right?
Yeah, just 1d6. So you don't reroll the 2.
Oh, okay. That too.
It's
All right,
not.
I
It's
tried.
not much better. Yeah,
I tried.
it's only a 6. So The voice comes over and he says, I'm afraid you're going to need official documentation, a warrant or something of the like. I assure you, everything is on the up and up here. We have no use for your services.
Booker like grabs his badge and is just like,
Take a good look at that. There's your official documentation. Open the damn door, unless you want an incident.
So Riley, you see Booker take out his badge, which you're pretty sure can override the gate and open it. And he's just kind of pointing it at the camera. He has no idea how to make it do the thing he wants it to do, but he knows it can do it. But he just doesn't. He's just like,
as he does that, I think he's like looking around like, fucker.
I'm just gonna insert myself and be like, excuse me, sir. I think I could actually use your credentials there to pop this gate right open.
Please do.
Is that right?
Save
then?
us a lot of paperwork. I mean, I can't promise that the turrets won't, pop up and shoot us all immediately, but I'm pretty sure that won't happen.
Pretty sure it's good. Pretty sure it's good. All right. Give it a shot.
I'll just go ahead and take that badge from you real quick. And I'm going to pull out I could pull out my compad or I could pull out my meta tools for this.
So the badge itself has a
is it like more of a software
near
thing?
field? It has a near field communicator that you should be able to just like hold it up to the lock and let it do its thing.
Oh, okay. I do so.
Okay. All right.
Just hold it up.
I was getting ready to like hack the panel.
Well, there's like it's like an RFID thing, but you have to turn it on first, right? So you hold the button and it makes a faint pinging sound to let you know that the RFID is on, and then you just hold it up to the lock. The system, you can see it running. There's a little like panel that runs the credentials, and then the little red lock icon turns green, and then the door starts to open. The robot that is scrubbing the door as it opens kind of like totters over backwards and reorients itself and follows the door, scrubbing it as it splits open.
They should really optimize that design better.
As the door opens, Booker like goes back to the comm panel and pushes on it. He's like,
This delegation would like to give you a pre-warning that we will be coming close to your vicinity and will be talking to you shortly.
like just like mimicking and mocking, the whole like nobility and just, all that kind of shit.
I toss his badge back to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have
and
your
just
badge
starts
again.
moving in.
Okay. All right. Yeah. The system don't like activate. They're not trying to get rid of you. The door opens and you start walking up into the estate.
Mhm.
So yeah, as I described before, there's probably, as you walk up, there was some attempt in the past to make this like kind of a nice place to live and hang out and be around. You see a set off to one side of like wrought iron, really nice like wrought iron lawn furniture, but it's covered in a thin grayish like mold. So it looks like someone just poured like mold all over it, and it's just like kind of like stuck in place and fuzzy. You see some statuary that's the same way. There's a big pond that probably had fish or something in it at some point, but it's got a nice thick layer of scum on top. And as you walk up towards the estate, towards the house itself, you do notice that it's not snowing. There are like little bits of like grayish fiber kind of like just drifting down. You notice it on your shoulders and it's collecting kind of around you on the ground. You leave footprints in this grayish snow. Yeah, as you approach.
We got backup coming right now too.
Okay, good. Yeah. Just pulls up
Just
right
in
behind
case. They're on standby.
you.
I'm sorry. I think that was me.
So you get up to the front door, and there's a car. There's a vehicle, like a ground vehicle, like a limo essentially, and it's got a thin layer of that grayish fuzz on the top of it. And the door is open, and we see that same servant that we saw before standing on the doorstep, like wringing his hands and looking at you nervously. And as you approach, probably a little early, like as you walk up, he's got his hands up already, and you can see, he's already fallen into the like trying to make up for being rude earlier. His body language is all very apologetic, so he puts his hands up and he says, I'm esteemed Cirrus. I'm so sorry about what happened at the gate. There must have been a miscommunication. We simply didn't know that you were coming. We have all the pertinent information now. The Viscount would love to, and he like, he's trying to like, sorry, God, I didn't. Please don't be upset with us.
It's like, you may save your apology and take us to the viscount now. Thank you.
Yes, yes, of course. I'm so sorry. Yes, and he sees you, and then he sees the guys, the officers, and their guns and stuff. And he kind of like wide-eyed, and he says, "Yes, this way. The viscount awaits you in his study." So you come inside, and this place has a kind of. It used to be nicer and has sort of fallen on less well times now. A lot of noble estates, especially outside of the imperial core, are like this these days, because they've lost a lot of their synthetic workforce. Everybody's like kind of taking monetary hits, and so this guy, obviously this particular Eridanis house, they're run onto hard times, and there are places on the walls where there would normally be like paintings, but they've been sold, so there's big empty spaces. The place is sort of dark. And like the rest of this planet, has a sort of sweaty warmth to it. And he leads you inside, and he says, the study is just this way, and he leads you up to a door in one of the kind of main rooms, hallways.
Can I like just kind of like not grab him, but just kind of catch his attention, and just kind of be like, have you got like a cloth or something? I want to get this grey stuff off me, and like he's like got it all on his vac suit and in his hair.
Yeah, he nods and he says, yes, the snow, it's a mycoprotein byproduct.
I just need a cloth, actually. I don't need an explanation.
Yes, of course, sir. I'll and he heads off to go and like get you
before he leaves,
wipe yourself off it. Yep.
Like when he starts walking away, I just say, perhaps you would also be so kind as to bring water for the soldiers. And I like point at them.
Yeah. And they're all looking around like, what the hell is going on here? What is this planet about? I hate this place. And he says, well, there'll be refreshments. And he gestures at the office. But for your men, and you can see him like you've just violated some expected etiquette thing where he's like, sir, you're nobles, and these guys, I'm not supposed to. He's like having a hard time of this.
Mm-hmm.
They're with us. You treat them with respect.
Can I nudge him telepathically?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that he doesn't want to do what you're telling him to do. He very much wants to like appease whatever wrath you may be approaching with, but he's just like not sure how to like handle you.
Okay.
So just simply saying to him like, yeah, get water for these guys.
So I just, while he hesitates, and I just look at him, I kind of stare like directly into his eyes, and I just say, now please.
Yeah, yes, of course. And he realizes that like the last time he tried to leave, somebody asked him for something, so he looks at like Riley and Booker, and he says, will there be anything else?
I like lemon in my water.
And he looks at you and he scowls. And this is the first time
the realization.
This is the first time he's been personally like.
Oh yeah, I'm rubbing salt in that wound. I'm sprinkling lemon in that wound.
He says.
Booker like cracks a smile too as she says that. He's like just a little smirk.
Yeah, he looks at you and scowls, and let's have you make a roll, because I want to see. He's trying to decide whether to be like, not for you, scum, because he thinks he like outranks you in the great social order of things, but you're also kind of just being like, fuck you, I'm with these cool people.
Yeah, basically.
So let's see. There's a little bit of a sort of silent pissing match going on here. I think the appropriate skill is probably either talk or I think it's talk in this case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I assist with this one, since we're both like trying to double team this guy? How do you help?
Yeah, what do you do to be like intimidating? It doesn't have to be just straight up like saying anything, but what do you do to help Riley?
After she says that she likes lemon in her water, I say, would you like us to write it down?
Okay. Okay. All right, Riley. So you have an assist.
Yeah. Well, we gave him 3 things. It's a lot to remember. He's not that smart, apparently.
Right.
Okay, so I'll do the talk roll.
Yeah. So you just need a 7 or better on yours.
11.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So Riley, you're assisted by the cold stare of Nomi from behind.
Nice. And should I use my charisma or can I use something else?
I think charisma. Yeah. I mean, unless
Okay.
you want to like pick him up by the neck, but I think
No,
just
I'm
force
not
of
planning
will.
on doing that. No.
I like lemon.
Yeah, just damn lemon. Break him over your knee like Bane.
I'm not the most charismatic
Fuck
creature.
you, Alfred.
No.
Oh no.
All right. So he sneers and he says, "I'm sorry, I don't serve plebs. Excuse me." And he turns with a flourish and walks away.
Booker like shoots a look at Riley like, "You gonna take that?"
Yeah, I mean, technically, like it's complicated because this guy is the manservant of a noble, and so you and him, Riley, are like socially on the same level, but he also thinks he's a bigger deal because he directly serves like a noble lord. So he's just kind of like, I don't have to get you water. Get your own damn water.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm going to sabotage one of his useless robots on the way out.
That's right. So he leaves, and he'll bring, and one of the soldiers, I guess, our like stand-in guy, our lieutenant or sergeant, says to you, he says, Officer Greaves, you want us to come in with you, or should we stay out here?
Probably best you stay out here. There's no need to be pointing a bunch of guns at the Viscount. Probably make him a little twitchier than he already probably is.
Yeah, he gives you a salute. And he says, "Well, if you need anything, we'll be right outside." And
Much
to sort
appreciated.
of, just to like machismo, like prove his point, he just kind of like shifts his like laser rifle like on his shoulder, like, "Oh, my
Yeah.
laser rifle's so heavy."
Just a little like, "Oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
here."
We'll be right outside with our guns, which we have because we're soldiers. Okay. Yeah. So he's like, "Yeah, we got your back." Secretly, like, "Oh, I hope we need to get your back." And so the door to the Viscount's study lies before you.
God, it's so weird. Every time I hear the word study, I'm just like, I just get flashbacks of just fantasy D&D horrible things.
Don't worry, we'll work through your
In
Court
the
of Swords
study.
PTSD. Yeah. This is not the kind of game where I'll be like, you open the door, cool, a cobra bites you on the face and you die.
Adam, I'm constantly looking up.
Yeah, as you
Go ahead.
approach, it'll open. The door automatically opens. So like, yeah, envision this place as, if you like, a kind of Victorian inspired like manor house, like you might see in like a Jane Austen novel, but in the future. So everything is automated. The doors all open on their own. The lights are all like LED globes. But it has a sort of austere imperiality to it. But it's also on a planet that is like covered in mycoprotein fuzz all the time, and they've kind of halfway moved out and sold a lot of their stuff. So it's a little bit run down. And when you come into the study, it seems like the study is where they have collected all of the stuff they haven't sold yet. There's a globe nearby of a world you don't recognize, sitting next to an enormous wooden desk. There are books on a shelf, like actual physical books, and there's a big window that looks out onto the back sort of yard of the estate. And waiting in the room is you presume the Viscount Eridanus Theodoro Douglas. The Viscount Theodoro is the man we described before, black hair and a bit of a widow's peak with a goatee. He's wearing what would pass as like casual kind of noble's clothes. And he is, I think he's standing, waiting for you to come in. Nomi, you noticed like beads of sweat at his hairline. It's warm in here, so maybe he's just a sweater, but he looks at a glance, he looks nervous. And on a side table nearby, there's a crystal decanter of some brown liquor and some empty glasses. So when you come in, he looks around trying to decide who to introduce himself to first. You see his slightly bulging eyes kind of flicker back and forth.
So I kind of like pause and wait to see what Booker is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Booker's
don't do
just
anything,
enjoying seeing him squirm a little bit. Looks at his sweat stuff and just that doesn't say anything purposely, just to kind of let the awkwardness set in for him. Not awkward for
Okay.
Booker at all. He's just this is great.
Cool. So I step forward and I give him a little bit of a bow and I say, "Greetings. I am Sir Serpens no Mika. It is an honor to meet you, Viscount. I apologize for interrupting you during what appears to be a move."
So are you trying to throw shade at him, or are you just like?
No,
this,
I'm
this
like,
could
maybe
be if
like, are you
yeah,
moving out of this house? Yeah.
right, and that's the thing. We don't know me well enough, so I'm asking you directly. Eventually, we'll learn when you're being shady, but because
Right.
this could very much be like a hidden barb, right? Like, oh, I'm sorry we interrupted your move, you poor ass jerk. Or it could be like legitimately noticing, like, oh, it looks like you're moving.
Yeah.
So if it's not meant to be shade, then yeah, okay. So he'll respond differently. He sighs. There's a breath of relief at the social pressure being relieved. Somebody else said something, and he looks at you, and suddenly, like, the rest of the group doesn't seem to exist, and he says, Cirrus, yes, it's been some time since this estate was visited by one of our cousins from House Serpens. It's very nice to meet you. And he walks over to like take your hand to, like, you know, kiss the ring or whatever.
Mhm.
Do you is that okay? Do you let him into your personal space?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So he
Yeah.
bows and he like air kisses the back of your hand. You're wearing gloves, right?
Yeah.
Do you take them off first?
Sure. Just the
Okay.
one.
Yeah, of course. As he walks over, you take your glove off, you give him your hand. Okay, all right. Yeah, so he air kisses the space above your hand, and then he like looks at you smiling, and he says, as for the move, no, we're just changing some of our assets around, looking for opportunities to upgrade. I know it's a bit of a mess, but I assure you we're on the rise. So what brings you to Mumeri?
May I
Certainly
please
not
introduce you to Officer Booker Greaves? And I like point to him.
Yeah. So Booker, you get a look that you were very familiar with, and that look is, I thought I misheard officer earlier. Great. And so he casts you a look, and he says, Officer Greaves, yes, delightful, and walks over to shake your hand.
Booker shakes his hand. He's like,
Listen, I know you're not happy I'm here, but I have to be here and it's a job. So either you can help me, we'll be done soon, and everything will be fine. You can go back to doing whatever it is you do here.
He says, why, we feed a planet, Officer Greaves.
I didn't mean any disrespect. I literally meant whatever you do here.
And he looks past you at Jason and Riley. What are the two of you doing? Are you just kind of like listening to the conversation? Are you poking around his office?
I've actually like set my gigantic crate down, and I'm sitting on top of it and tinkering with one of my drones. I may or may not be programming it to spray paint, profanities on the wall for later.
Yeah. Okay. So he looks. He's like a noble. Okay, a noble officer. Okay. What the fuck is this? What is happening here? What?
Grease
and
monkey.
he says to you. He says, Officer Greaves, if you need somewhere for your mechanic to operate, we have several rooms where she could do that. And like there's a wrinkling of it, like, oh God, what? Please don't get grease on any of my stuff.
Booker,
oh God.
Booker shoots a look at Riley and is like, you need somewhere to operate?
No, I'm good right here.
He's good right here. Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
The little vein in his forehead is like throbbing. Yeah. And then to get out of the way, yeah. So while he's talking, he looks at you because you're the only person he doesn't know in the room yet.
So I'll actually position myself by the door because there's only one door leading out of here.
There's a door. There's a set of glass doors that lead out to the balcony. There's a little balcony.
Okay.
But that's
into
the other way.
The rest of the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll position myself by the door we came in and just kind of lean against the wall and just kind of know that if he tries to make a break for it, I can probably tackle this guy or like grab him and grab him for Booker. Just like Jason hasn't been on like many like police jobs, but maybe he's like watched too many like vids of like that's what cops do.
Yeah.
So he kind of pushes himself there, puts like one foot up against the wall, leans back, and I'll just kind of do like a gesture, like a tip of the kind of hat without wearing a hat, and just kind of say, Jason Argus, House Fornax, nice to meet you.
And he looks at you like, yeah, who is this enormous man standing by the door? And he's like, okay, good. I can't leave. Fantastic. And so he looks at you and he nods and he says, charmed.
Oh, don't worry about him. He's harmless, mainly.
May I ask, Officer Cirrus, what is it that you've come to a cornucopia to do?
Well, we've got reports that there is an illegal synthetic operating somewhere around here.
He blanches at the words illegal synthetic.
Yeah. Just kind of let that hang for a second to see if he's gonna,
Okay, yeah. If there's even a moment of pause, he says that's impossible. It couldn't possibly be. Oh, and you think that I'm connected with this thing, this abomination? No, our paperwork. I assure you, it's very much to go. Every single one of our work, and he just starts like babbling.
Yeah, I was just like, I didn't say connected. I just said that they were here, being awfully defensive. Makes me raise an eyebrow a little bit, and then he actually like raises his eyebrow just a little.
Yeah.
Just kind of looks at him, just taking in what he's doing, body language wise, and everything.
You have to understand. And he's saying this to Nomi, right? So he says, you have to understand that even an accusation of such things, even mentioning that it could be possible that the political ramifications are too severe. You haven't told anyone else why you're here, have you?
No, of course not. Why would we do that?
Well,
I just like kind of calmly like wave my hand at him, and I'm just like, Viscount, please. No one is accusing you of anything. We are simply here to ask for your help. Perhaps you could answer some questions for us.
Yeah, yes, of course. And as he's saying this, he's taken the decanter, he's taken the stopper out of it, and he's poured himself a drink. And he has forgotten to offer a drink to anyone else.
Booker comes up and just grabs a glass too, if there's one there, and like pours himself one, and then like gives him a little.
So you walk over, showing that you're interested, and he holds his glass out to you. Please, like he realizes like, oh shit, I don't want to offend this guy.
No. He Booker just ignores that and grabs his own glass.
Past.
Just pours a little tiny bit to kind of maybe calm this guy's nerves and like feel him out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Got back up sort of thing happening right now. So he's he grabs that and just like cheers.
Yeah. So he takes a drink. You drink it. It tastes weird. It's just weird. Like it's supposed to be whiskey, but it's like if you made whiskey out of like shiitake mushrooms. Like it's got this kind of like grave dirt kind of aftertaste. Yeah.
He's like
peat wouldn't be hard to come by around here necessarily. Like swampy earth, but it's not good. Yeah.
Taste earthy. Not bad.
And he says, yes, it's an acquired taste. Strong though, so you feel a little like warmth. And he says, yes, questions. You had questions, of course. I would be happy to answer whatever questions you have. You please, you have full access to whatever records you need.
We've got surveillance footage placing this in question synth at a market in Cornucopia about a week ago, within this past week.
Booker like grabs the data pad and goes, shows it up so he's like,
you know that guy?
Yeah. So again, then we get that loop, that repeated loop, and he looks at it and he says, I can't possibly be expected to remember the name of every single plebeian that lives on this planet. He looks like a factory worker or a farmhand. There are millions of them.
Can we check that guy out in some way? Like, see if he's like
like I press go on the bullshit detector? You have a living bullshit detector standing right near.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, okay. I'll just Jason just looks over at Nomi then and is like,
like, really though, this guy? Yeah. Okay.
Press X to doubt.
Yeah. Right. You grab him, liar. Okay. So what do you want to do? Do you want to just like get an eyeball on him, or do you want to use your psychic powers?
Yeah, no, I want to try and use my telepathy to see if I can get a gauge on what he's doing.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about what that looks like. So you have been trained to read other people's emotional state using your telepathic senses. You're going to be using telepathic contact. So he doesn't get a saving throw. You just pick it up in the same way that you could like hear him speaking or like watch his body language. Is another form of communication. Everyone does it without realizing it, but most people can't see it. How do you perceive that? Does something change when you focus on someone? What would be like if we were to show this to an audience, if this were a TV show, what would they see that would let us know like, oh, Nomi's using her psychic powers?
I would think that like Nomi herself doesn't look like she changes too much. But it would be kind of that thing where like you zoom in on her like brain kind of, and you can see from her vision that she is picking up on things like his body language, his heart rate, and like his temperature, kind of the way that his body is reacting to the stress. So like if he is lying, like his heart rate will increase and that kind of thing.
Right. So you're picking up his psychic, the psychic ramifications of all the tiny little things that happen. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Okay, cool. So he let's see what information you get. So as long as you're focused on him with your telepathic contact, you can observe his emotional state. Intense emotions provide a single word or image related to the focus of the feelings. Okay. He's not feeling anything intensely. But there is a deep and powerful and present fear. He is afraid. And nothing any stronger than that. If you'd like to supplement that with a wisdom-based or notice, I guess notice because you're looking for like clues, you could do that too. Because you have time to observe him while he's talking to.
Do I roll for the telepathic contact? Because it's got a button to roll. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's some of your psychic powers will be rolls. This one just you commit effort to focusing on him.
Okay.
Is it noticeable? Like would it be possible that Booker knows that she's doing this, or is this something that I couldn't even tell? Like if I wanted to.
You wouldn't be able to. No, only another person with psionic ability, unless there's like a sign, right? Unless Nomi is like, I'm doing the thing.
I think maybe like if we have worked together for long enough, like if we establish that Booker has worked with me on multiple missions, maybe he would kind of see like a little bit of a zone out, where I'm not like fully hearing the conversation in front of me because I'm trying to like listen to this other kind of dimension of things that's happening.
I think Booker just assuming is keeping the conversation going, just in case she is doing that. Like talking to him about the whiskey and things like that. And
like, how exactly do you go about making that stuff?
Right. Okay.
Just to keep him like on me.
So yeah, he's terrified. Okay, yeah, actually, so if that's what you're doing, Mark, you mentioned like you wanted to get a read on him too. So why don't you make that notice roll with wisdom, and I'll let you know. You can ask me some questions about kind of what's going on with him.
Okay, wisdom. It's not assisted, right? Or is
no, it's not. Because in this case, like you're kind of working together, but not on this particular task.
Okay, yeah, so okay. 6.
All right, so yeah, I think you can tell that he's being squirrely, but also he's stuck in a room with a bunch of strangers who just came into his house, and he's in a weird situation. So some of it is probably justified, maybe all of it. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. Is Booker still chatting to him, or can I like jump in with a question?
Oh, you can. Yeah, you can jump in. Sure. Yeah, Booker is just distracting him.
I'm just kind of shooting shit with him right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like he mentioned that like he said something like, oh, there are millions of these factory workers, and I guess like Jason's going to kind of approach it from almost like he doesn't know how this planet works. So he's like, so how many do these factory workers? What do they have? People that order them around? People that do they have designated areas? How does it work? They can't all just be running around the planet altogether, right?
He says, no, no, of course. Every worker has a citizenship number assigned to them, an imperial citizenship number, which we, of course, check against the database when we begin their contract. And regularly we update it. I assure you, all of our checks are done on time and up to. And you can see him kind of like getting frustrated with you, like, stop asking me dumb questions. And then he says, but they're all well tracked and taken care of. We don't want to lose an asset. The facilities here are provided in majority by Acre Corporation. As you would expect, we use their harvesters, their technology, but all of the serfs belong to the nobles. I assure you that we keep a firm hand on our workers here. There's no way that a synthetic thing could find its way into my workforce without me knowing it.
Oh, well then, I mean, can you track this fella down? Like, how do you track that? But you said that you have excellent tracking methods in place. So that
and he looks at it because I guess like Booker, you left the hologram running like on the table or something.
Yep. Yeah, it's just looping going.
Yeah, so he looks at it and he says, well, we would need more information, a citizenship number. I'm afraid that our facial recognition technology, and then I guess like Nomi would notice this more than anybody. His fear is temporarily overwhelmed by his embarrassment. The reason that he can't do that, like, yeah, it's fear turn like. So yeah, he's like, well, our facial recognition technology's been on the fritz lately, so I'm afraid I can't help you with that.
I was kind of shrug and sort of go back to just
Fair enough. You know, technology's great and all, but still got her bugs, eh?
And he
Perhaps we could be of assistance with that. Riley, and I try and like get her attention because she's like working on stuff in the corner over there. Do you think that it's possible you could assist the Viscount with his facial recognition and its fritz?
Oh, of course. I'm pretty sure that's well within my skill set.
Yeah, I mean,
Excellent.
if there's a problem with some kind of like surveillance gear or something, yeah, you could definitely fix it.
Right, well, there you go. How does that sound?
And he totally straight up called his bluff, right? So he just it's like, well, you see, it's more complicated than that. It's these damnable corporates. We had a disagreement about some billing with Prism recently, and they've deactivated our access to their system. So it's not so much that it doesn't work; it's simply that they refuse to give us access to what's rightfully ours. For the
Corporate
security of these
assholes.
and he nods. He's like, yeah, see, of course. These up-jumped scum, they think just because they have a little bit of money. It's disgusting. Acre, I understand. They build things, but it's Prism Network. What good are they?
But Prism has access to the feeds around the market, you said, right? So if anybody could facially track this individual, it'd be them?
Yes, I suppose so.
Oh, useful to know.
Seems like we're talking to the wrong person. And with that, I go back to fixing my bot.
Right. Yeah. Normally he would be like, how dare you speak to or around me? But he also, like, in this case, there's a slight sigh where he's like, yes, no, yeah, yes, I agree with the peasant. What the peasant said. The robot peasant is right. Please get the fuck out of my house. So when you say that, he doesn't say anything, but you can feel, no, he's like, oh, this is an angle I could work. He feels a sense of relief, and he's like, yes, I would be happy to put you in charge with my Prism representative. You could speak to him. They would be able to assist you in this matter, I'm certain.
That would be most
While
helpful,
he's doing
Viscount.
this, is there a possibility I could like maybe while he's distracted, deploy one of my smaller drones, like I have like into the hallway and just maybe take a look around?
Yeah, totally.
Because this guy is up to something. He's all nervous.
Oh,
And I need to know why
Oh,
he's
yeah.
nervous. I need to know why he has this kind of security and why it's all on the fritz, apparently.
Yeah.
So could I do that?
Sure. Yeah, you could totally do that. So like What does that look like? Is this like a little like unfolding like ball drone that fly? Like what is your surveillance drone look like, and how do you deploy it?
So my surveillance drone looks a little bit like a tadpole. So it's round and it has like a weird like tail, like sort of appendage on the back of it. And it has a cute little antenna on the top with a little band-aid that kind of holds it in place that I just jerry-rigged onto it.
Did you build it from scratch, or is this like a retrofit of an existing like model that you bought?
This one I modified like just right now.
Right,
while we
out
were
of some
sitting here.
parts. You
Yeah,
happen to have.
yeah. It's pretty scrappy, but
Right, sure.
it's got a
I mean,
camera on it. It's pretty quiet.
Yeah, usually this kind of drone, the chassis for this kind of drone is used for like discreetly poisoning people. Like it's an assassination drone, right? But you've repurposed it. You're just like boop, boop, boop. Now it's got a camera and a little antenna for transmitting information instead of a poison needle.
Yeah.
But it's like small. It's like hand size. And it has its own little repulsor, so you can just kind of like lean back and like scoot it out into the hallway.
Roll it out the door. Since he hates me anyway, he's not looking at me.
Yeah, I mean, even if you were looking directly at you, he would be doing that thing where he's just like, "Don't look at the peasant. Don't get your eyes dirty."
Right. Which is gonna work to my advantage in this case.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, you just roll the former hunter killer out into the hallway, and it rights itself and picks up into the air and heads off to float around. And yeah, I guess within a certain distance, it can transmit like video data to you. I think that there aren't enough servants in the house for anyone to really notice it. Like I don't know that there's any risk right now of that. So yeah, so it's in the house now. So you have access to that. He definitely doesn't notice you doing this because he's busy with his noble friends. So yeah, he's walked over to his desk and he's waved his hand over a panel in the wood that turns transparent and then begins projecting a UI where he's like pulling up information, and he pulls out a contact file and he sends it to you, Officer Greaves. So you have the contact file for a person at Prism. Let me get a name for this person. So Prism, their deal, the Prism Network, their deal is they're a massive like media conglomerate. They do like live sports events, they do news, they do like contracting of surveillance for individuals. They basically run all of the mass media of the sector. So they have a ton of other like subcontracts and sub businesses, and one of them must be running information on this planet. So this person, their name is Producer Lahua, and Producer Lahua is someone who just like works like the contract in this town in Cornucopia. There's someone you can go and talk to. You have an address for their office, etc. So that's in your.
So you sent that over to my like data pad thing or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Booker looks at it like,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
He nods and he says, "I have to tell you though, she's an absolute hard ass. You miss one payment." And he's like very personally, he's like, "And I'm an Eridanus. We don't miss payments, but this woman was unwilling to negotiate. Again, really, just no decorum whatsoever. Good luck with that, officer."
And I trust we won't have any more issues with your group here, the whole out front. Things will run smoothly from now on.
Do you expect that you're going to need to return?
I don't know what I expect. I expect everything.
I mean, you're welcome to come back if need be, but I don't know what else I can tell you.
Simply make sure that your servant knows to expect us in the future so that we don't need to find our own way in next time.
Yes, of course, Cirrus. Of course.
Like turn away from him to walk out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the social cue of like, cool, meeting's over. He relaxes a little. I was like, yeah, all right, great, you're leaving. Fucking awesome. So he walks over to the door, which opens, and standing outside is his servant holding a tray with a bunch of empty glasses on it, and he like kind of starts And you can see that he was like listening at the door, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I was just I was here to see if you needed anything. Of course. Are our guests leaving? And the Viscount says, yes, they were just on their way out. And he looks at you, Booker, for confirmation. Like, you were just fucking off, weren't you? Yes.
Unless there's anything else you can say to us that'll give us some more info, anything that'll be helpful. I mean, I know you don't like us here any more than we like being here. So, within our best interest that we expedite things. You understand?
He nods. He says, of course. Time is money, Officer Crux.
Viscount, just another curious question. I'm not familiar with how things work here on Cornucopia. I don't suppose any of your house servants tend to deal with any of the factory workers or any of the like, would they? They wouldn't happen to know anything about that?
Shakes his head. No, we have foremen for that.
What?
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of poor, so they probably have like 2 or 3 men for that now.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. I just kind of like pat him on the arm.
Yeah, the rest of your officers are sitting around outside in the like room waiting, and when they see you, they've all stood up and look at you like, okay, time to go. Do you, Riley, do you want to leave your drone here to like hang out and then come back and retrieve it, or do you leave and then kind of call it back to you when you go?
Have I noticed anything like peculiar yet, or anything out of line, or that doesn't match up with what he said?
I would say you haven't had a chance to surreptitiously like look at the feed yet.
Ah, okay.
Right. So like you let it out and it's been recording information, and it's probably got like whatever, like 48 hours of recording time built into it. And you can leave it there and come back and get it, or you can go outside and have it like slip out a window, but then you're only going to get 10 or 15 minutes of it buzzing around.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and recall it and just like take a look at what I already have. But while I'm doing that, can I have it knock the manservant in the head just a little bit? Just like hit him in the head on its way back.
Yeah. So you leave. I guess you all head out into back out into the path that leads down through the fungus encrusted field down to the gates. And as you go to leave, you turn to recall the thing, hit a button on your compad, and we cut to inside, where we just see the servant like grab his head and like turn around, like, what was that? Looking around like someone tapped him on the shoulder. And then he gets interrupted by his boss, by the Viscount, being like, how dare you let them in here, and like you have no idea and like he just starts berating him because he's nervous and wants an outlet for that. And your little drone returns to you. Does anybody else see that? Or are you keeping it a secret from the group?
No, I probably wouldn't hide it.
Okay. All right. So
I'd be pretty open about the fact.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're all like, Riley senses that everyone's pretty suspicious of this guy. So if anything, I would hope that, like Acre, they would reward my ingenuity and initiative.
Yeah. When you look at your pad to call it back, your like employment contract, you have a notification from it that reminds you that you haven't mentioned an Acre product in the last hour. And that if you don't mention an Acre product sometime in the next 30 minutes, you'll be pinged 26 like loyalty points. And so you like look at it, and then your drone comes back, and I think that everybody's outside, and you are I guess heading back out into Cornucopia to track down this prism rep. The plan. Okay, cool. All right. Well, as you leave, we probably have the camera do the slow pan out of the sort of fungal estate, and we fade out on that scene. So let's take our first break here. I think we're due for one. If we want to stay on target, and when we get back, we'll pull another 2 hours. We'll see if we can track down this synth. Cool.
Sounds
Stick
good.
around, everybody. We got lots more Verona coming at you after the break.